So in today's session, we'll be discussing how to handle the cookie object. Okay. So when we visit some website and we log in on a website, then a cookie object is created. So what we can do to validate that the person has logged in, what we can do, we can store that cookie object in a variable. And when we are, for example, we are doing some shopping, or we are doing the payment, or what we are doing, we are accessing my orders, so you have to use same cookie object, that is the cookie object which is created at the time of login. Same cookie object should be used when you are doing the payment. Same cookie object should be used when you are doing add to the cart. Same cookie object should be used when you are viewing your order. So if cookie object is not same, then it means that uh, the person who has been logged in, his account is not matched with the payment account. So for that we will be using the post request and pre-request processors to validate the cookie data. So for this example, I am using the example which we have done before of pet store, in which we have recorded the pet store website, where we have, this is the pages where we have visited this website pet store, and then we were doing some login. These were the logging data we were doing. So this example we have done previously, and then we were doing the add to the cart, where we were shopping some fish category and add to the cart, and then we were doing some payments. Okay, this was the example we have done before. So in this same example, what I'm doing today is getting the session object. So first of all, what is the session object? So I will run this example. So in a thread group, I have added two people. That is, two people are logging to this particular website. Okay, so I'm running this example again. Now, when I go to my listener, so you see over here that two people are visiting to the home page, two people are entering the store, then two people are signing in, two people are logging in. So if I check this login, so this is the request we were sending, and here this is a session generated, session ID. And after successful login, when I get a response body, so you can check from the response body in the HTML format. Here it is saying welcome Rolly. So it means in login 4 we are logging in as a Rolly, and again the second person is logging in as a Parag. So it means two people are logging. One is Rolly and another is Parag. Now if I go and check here for this login as a Rolly, this is a session ID generated. I am just copying it for your reference, and I am pasting it over here. Okay. So this is the session generated. Okay. This is for the, I am just writing for first person, which is a role. And again, if I go to the login number 2, here also a session object is created. It is generated for Parag. Again, I am copying it. So it means two session objects are created. This is the second one. It is for Parag. So now I want to validate that this session is continued when I am visiting to, for example, now what I am doing, I am adding to the cart here. You see, add to the cart. So I am adding fish to the cart. So when I'm again, if you look at the response data, so here my shopping cart has been added, and this shopping cart is added by the first person, which is a Rolly, and this is the second cart which is added by the second person, that is a Parag. Okay. So again, if I look at the this session ID, again I'm copying it, which is I'm copying from add to the cart. So you see this and this is same. And similarly, if I go to this add to the cart, and this add to the cart is done by the second person, that is the Parag. So you see, both are same. So it means same person session is continued when he is adding to the cart, and similarly when I am doing the payment. So again, payment I am doing payment details, payment details. So in the payment details for the first person, this is the response data. That is, the payment is done by Rolly, and again this is the payment detail done by the Parag. So again, if I go and I check the session for the first person, so it you see this is same, login, then add to the card, then payment, and similarly for him, this is for the Parag. So this session is continued. So now I want to get after login, post, I want to get that this what is this session created for this Rolly, and I want to store it in some variable. And then when Rolly is doing shopping or doing the payment, I want to validate that this session and this session object are same. Okay. Now I am clearing it. Okay. Now if you see over here, there is a cookie manager, HTTP cookie manager. When I have recorded this test, this HTTP cookie manager is added. Okay. So now this cookie can be generated in two ways. One is a cookie object is created in the cookie manager here. And second is that in this scenario, if I run it again, so you have to check where this cookie object is created. Whether it is created by the cookie manager. If it is created by the cookie manager, then it will add it here in the cookie manager. It will add, and if it is not created, so if you see over here in I'm converting it back to the text. So here in the response, in the response, there is only HTML response. There is no cookie object available in the response data. Response data, I'm not getting any cookie object. I'm getting the cookie object in the request body here. In the request body I'm getting. So now if you're getting the cookie object in the request body, then in that case we have to use the regression expression extractor to extract this session ID. But if yeah, because it depends upon website to website, maybe when you are validating your website when you are validating the some other website, maybe you are not getting the cookie object in the request body here, and you get it in the response body maybe, or you get it in a cookie manager over here. So if you're getting inside the cookie manager, okay, so if the session ID is in cookie data and not in the request body, okay, then only JMeter handles it by using the predefined variable. So it means if the cookie data is generated by the cookie manager, then its value is automatically stored in a predefined variable. This is the name of the variable. Okay, and we can get the value from this variable by using the dollar curly bracket and the variable name. As we have already discussed in JMeter, how can you fetch the data from the variable? So we can fetch the data from the variable by using dollar curly bracket and the variable name. So this is a predefined variable name, this one, which stores the cookie object automatically in it. But it stores it only when the cookie data is generated by the cookie manager. Okay, and then we can store that particular in a user defined variable. This we can store, and then what we can do, we can retrieve. We can also retrieve this thing. Okay, by so this is the syntax for get cookie manager. Get cookie manager returns the cookie manager object, and then we can get this cookie object from here. This one, my cookie. Okay, my cookie. This one, my cookie. But if in my case, this one, the session ID is generated in the request body. As I show you, in the request body, the session ID is generated. So if the session ID is generated in the request body, then this predefined object is not available. This one, this, just a second. Okay, this predefined object, just a second. Okay, this predefined object is not available. This one, this object is not available. So as I told you, we have to get it by using the regression expression extractor. So if session ID is in request body, then first of all we have to get the sampler. PRV is a object, as I told you, that CTX, VARS, PREV, all these are bean samplers which we can use directly. Okay, so we are getting this get sampler data, and from this data we are extracting this session ID, and if it is found, then we are storing it in my cookie object. Okay, so if I come back to my program here, so what we have done, we have written this login for this one. In login for, we are passing the user ID and the password from the CSV file. We have done this lecture also, how to pass the data from CSV. So we are passing this data first Rolly user ID and then Parag user ID. We are passing from the CSV 2 times. Okay, so this is the login for. After the person has logged in, then what we want to do, we want to store the session object. So what we have done, in login for, right click, add and post processor. And in post processor, what we have added, this JSR post processor, this one. So I have already added it, this one, post processor. And PRV means previous request, because we have written post. Post means after the login has been completed, after we have entered the username and password. post processor. So in post processor we are writing PRV because we have to get the data from the previous request, that is when we are logging in. So PRV dot get sampler data, and then if this session ID is matching, then we are retrieving that particular data, and after that particular data, uh, so I'm just zooming in so that it is visible. Okay, now I think it is visible, so you can zoom from here. Okay, so this is the same type, and what we have done, VARS we have already discussed with you. What is the VARS in the bean sampler dot put? This is my name, variable name, and this is the session I am storing into it, and I have written log info so that you come to know that session has been added. Okay, and now when we are doing the add to the cart, okay, so in add to the cart, again I want to get this variable. Which variable? This my cookie variable, and match it with the current cookie. So again in add to the cart we have written post processor, that is after adding to the cart I am validating. Okay, so in add to the cart, again what we have done, we have written the same code, and this is my cookie 2. Okay, so my cookie 2 again I am getting after we have done the add to the cart, and again I have printed it. So I have extracted after add to the cart. Okay, and this one I have extracted after logging in. So I have two objects available with me, and now what I am doing, I am comparing. Okay, so now I have two variables, my cookie and my cookie 2. All these things we have discussed before, what is VARS, what is get, and now I am comparing x is equal to y. If both the cookie objects are same, then we are saying that both are same, we are passing. But if they are not same, so it means login object and uh, add to the cart objects are different. So in that case, what we can do, we are giving the assertion error here, assert result, and as assert result we are setting it as a fail, set fail true, so that this test is recorded as a failed test. And in assertion result, this is a predefined class, assertion result, and I'm giving the failure message, that is session ID is changed. So this is the code we have written. Okay, this is the code I have written. Okay, so now I am running this code and checking it in my log message. So how do you view the log? You have to go to the option and select the log viewer. So I have selected the log viewer. Okay, and now if you look over here in the log viewer, you can see extracted session after login. So you can check from here. Here, so I have written over here log messages extracted session after login. This is the session object for the Rolly, and then extracted session after login. This is the login for Parag. Two people are there, and then extracted session after add to the card. Now, when the Rolly has added to the card, then what is the session? Okay, And now what we are comparing? We are comparing the login session of the Rolly and the add to the cart session of the Rolly. This one, this and this, and both are matching. Similarly, now I am matching the login session extracted after cart by Parag. And again, I am comparing login session of the Parag with the add to the cart session of the Parag, and again both are matching. So in that way, you can do the validation and you can assert that person has logged in and same person is doing the shopping, or his same person is adding to the cart. Okay, so this is the code. I will share this GMX file with you so that you can watch this code also, and I will also share notes with you so that you can read about those notes also. Okay, thank you.